Hello, everyone. Welcome to VR Verdict Podcast number 119. I'm PJ.
I'm Wookie.
And we're here talking to Yacine from Salmi Games about his game Sweet Surrender.
Hey. Yeah, I'm Yacine. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome back. We were just, before you popped in, talking about, you joined us when we were in Spatial Ape back in November, early November last year.
That's right, yeah.
And, yeah, the game had been out for like a month or two, and holy crap, have you been busy?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again. It's really cool to be back. Yeah, we've been updating the game continuously since we released, and we still have quite a few more updates coming down the road. So we're quite excited about that.
I'll let you get into specifics, but you've added character classes, extra map, like areas, like you've expanded the areas you have, and I think you're coming out with a new area. You've added weapons, you've added, there is a long list. So, yeah, just give us a couple rundowns and yeah, be interested to hear.
Sure, yeah. In December, we had one of our bigger updates where we introduced character classes, so sort of progression for the game where you can play to your play style, let's say. So in December, we introduced 2 classes, and then in March, we introduced 2 more. And players responded quite positively to the classes. I think this was one of the number one demands. Not everybody is a fan of a pure roguelike experience. And so, yeah, the feedback there has been quite positive and very encouraging for us. And we've also we've added new weapons, but we've done a full pass on all the weapons to make all of them look high quality, let's say. And just tons of bug fixes and little tweaks and polish, lots of little animations and particles, things that were missing earlier on. We added a super hard mode called the Lunatic class, which is just, yeah, it's hard. I can't make a dent in it. So.
What's it feel like when your own game beats you?
Yeah, yeah, it's embarrassing. We have like a weekly team call where we share like one moment from the daily run. And like our 3D artist, when he started, he was just brand new to VR, like just got instantly motion sick. And a couple weeks ago, he beat the full game. He was quite proud of that because you could see him making steady progress over the weeks and months. With some of us are not as not as good as some of them. Yeah, and also lots of gameplay balancing, a lot of just player feedback that we've been incorporating to try to address some edge cases and bugs, but also some improvements to the weapons or some new chip ideas. And you mentioned new area. We're working on our first major new area called the sewers. We've been working on that for months. Yeah, and we're hoping to release that in late July. And that's going to be, that doesn't add a whole new area to the length of the game, but it opens up alternate paths, let's say.
Okay.
And with that, we're introducing a whole new set of mechanics, some new enemies. We're basically playing with acid and damage over time. And we're also going to introduce more interactions and sort of smaller puzzles. So to add a bit of more depth to the game for those players who want to go deeper, let's say.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but this is one of my favorite roguelike shooter games. Like, it's just it's fun. It like the
Thank you.
graphics are amazing, but the way you incorporated all the player feedback, like you can see it when you do your updates. You say like player feedback here, and that's just again lists upon lists, and that's really smart because you're obviously building the game that the people want, and like you've added like all kinds of mechanics, like a robot will pop up and say, "Hey, if you have one of these guns, I'll take it." And there's like secrets with that and paths and things like
Yeah,
it's crazy how much you've added just on a base, like you said, like a basic roguelike shooter, which I appreciate because it is nice to have some sense of like progression.
yeah, absolutely. I used to be when we were developing a game, it's very hardcore. No, it's a pure roguelike. There's no progression. We had lots of discussions, and we're like, all right, well, maybe we'll do progression one day, but first we got to get the basics right, and then we can layer it on top. Uh, that's worked out nicely. I don't think it would have. I think the overall game would have been a lower quality if we had tried to shoehorn it in before
Yeah,
launch. But now we're able to expand on it and also to, like you say, talk to the community and hear what they want to see. And like it's clear for us currently, like the main next thing, one of the things we should focus on is more melee, more stealth, perhaps a melee class. So uh, that's been really nice for us just to get the feedback from the community and be able to ask questions and then draw from their ideas to make the game better.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, you have the wrenches for melee, and it's pretty funny to go up and whack a robot with a wrench.
Yeah, 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 but we basically we only have the wrench, which is kind of
Yeah,
limited. And I think there's yeah more things. I mean, you could hit anybody with any weapon, but they're not pure melee. Uh,
yeah.
and there's some issues like the turrets. And when they die, they explode. They cause explosion damage. So that kind of um, it's not fun for a melee run.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the last time I was streaming the game, I think he had just added. You'll know him better than I do. I forgot the name, but the gun that shoots and blows up. Like I killed myself so many times. Just like
yeah,
I got so far and then I blew myself up in the first room of the next level. I was so pissed.
yeah, yeah. And we have to balance those things. Like it's fun when you die in a silly way, but it also it happens too often. Players get frustrated, so uh, we have to balance that. It's, it's tricky. Yeah, another thing we added was a home base, which um, I we were actually unsure how much the community loves it or not, but it was like it's something we wanted to do for a long time. Just have a shooting range, and people wanted to try out the weapons they've played and get a better feel for them, and also give us feedback on balancing. And so that's something we rolled out in the last update, and it's also a place where you can see your progression and all the different things you've collected, and try out different enemies and different chips and different weapons.
Yeah, I love how you added the ability to spawn the enemies and kind of check them
Yeah,
out and also shoot at them in your room. And
yeah, and we're gonna keep improving that. That was like our first version. Like we have a new like the current gun racks are not so nice. So our guys have been developing a better way to lay out the weapons so you can quickly try out all the weapons without having to move around. There's just a lot of little polish and improvements.
yeah, my it was an early edition, but one of my favorite additions was the extra back slots for weapons because in a game that has so many cool weapons, like I literally like I'll have every spot full and then I'll have one in each hand and I cannot let one go.
Yeah,
So before that it was
I
really
like
hard to
this
like
one.
manage.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it's good. I'm glad you noticed that. We've also unfortunately we had a few bugs where like you would sometimes store your weapon and then it would just disappear or it would collide with something else. And like it's not the game is bug free now, but a lot of these issues are gone. So you don't lose your weapons, which used to be quite frustrating for players.
Like I said, you guys have been busy, not only adding like the new fun stuff, but you've totally seems like you've retooled a lot and cleaned up and almost redone everything from every aspect.
um, yeah, in a way. In other ways, there's more stuff we'd like to do, which is it leads to sometimes some heated discussions because it's like, well, if we make this change, it's going to be 6 months of work, and this is so
Yeah.
core to the game. Uh, but yeah, I think the game's in a good spot right now, and we still have like a huge roadmap of things we would like to add, and um, the community's still active, so we're going to keep working on it for the foreseeable future. We're quite happy about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Last time you were here, I think I don't remember the size of your team, but have you grown or kind of stayed the same while you're updating? And
So we stayed the same. Well, we had some turnover this year. One person left, and a new programmer has joined just in April, in May. Uh, so we now have 3 programmers on our team, which is quite cool. We're carefully growing, I would say. And what we want to do as a studio is move to having multiple projects going at the same time. So I would like to keep working on Sweet Surrender for at least the next 2 years, if the community sticks around, basically. But we want to start the next project so that not all our eggs are in one basket.
sure.
Yeah, and I hate to like do this type of tease without really revealing anything, but we just signed a partnership for another project that should come to fruition next year. I really want to talk about it. I can't, but
That's awesome.
for us,
Though.
it's exciting. It's another VR game, and it's again what it will hopefully allow us is to then have multiple revenue streams and keep the studio both sustainable and stable. Like, so again, not to have all your eggs in one basket. Yeah, because
Yeah,
yeah,
that's smart for income, but also creativity when you can kind of maybe go back and forth a little bit on and off and change gears and
yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting challenge for us to tackle is how we work on 2 projects at the same time, like, and go back and forth. And like the natural, like we're starting to prototype the next game, and people tend to like to work on new things where you're less constrained, and it's less about fixing bugs, and it's more about just trying out new art style, new visuals, new gameplay. And so, but we want to balance both, and we kind of want to have the team working on both projects, not split the company. Half are doing this and half are doing that, but that everyone's involved. That's something we're gonna have to figure out as we work on it, because that comes with a bunch of challenges.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Keeping everyone happy and being creative.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I mean, We Surrender was, we used some government funding and we got some Facebook funding, but now it's generating revenue. Like it's close to covering our ongoing studio costs, which is
Nice.
yeah, which is really cool. I mean, it's the VR market, or like it's up and down all the time. It's around Christmas and in January, like sales are quite high, or when you go on sale, your sales spike. But so far, overall, over the last 8-9 months, we're breaking even, and that's a nice feeling.
I bet.
Yeah. And,
Yeah, last time you were on, we were talking about like ethics with like DLC and all that, and like so far, all of your updates have been free, and that's amazing. But I still don't understand how some of you guys do it with revenue and like working on one title and all that stuff. Like it's just blows my mind.
yeah, Yeah, it's tricky. I'm hugely inspired by H3VR and how they approached things for the last, I don't know, it's 5 years, which is sell the game once, but keep updating it, keep working on it, and keep tapping into this sort of growing market. Like, I don't, for Sweet Surrender, I don't think we've come close to reaching the potential number of players who might enjoy the game. So uh, I think if we, like, there is the value of releasing paid DLC if you have a big enough user base. But for us, we're just, the way we're pushing it is if we keep updating the game, then um, players in the community will stay active, but also Oculus will notice that the game is being updated, Steam will notice, and they'll hopefully feature the game more often, and there'll be some sort of virtuous cycle.
Right.
For a future game, maybe we'll approach it differently with DLC, but
well, longevity is a big thing. The more new players you reach as VR grows, like you said, as the community keeps getting bigger, it's just nice to have good games like this. But it is kind of weird. Like if you're making enough sales as you go to cover the costs, that's amazing. Like that's
yeah,
it's just yeah.
It doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I basically would like I want to see how it goes all the way into the end of the year, and then we'll have a rough idea of is this growing over time, or is it just, yeah, it's making sales, but it's slowly declining. Because it's, I don't know how VR games sell in the spring and in summer. Like, are people play less VR in the summer because it's hot? Is that a thing? That's what we suspect. I don't know. People buy more games around Christmas. That's pretty clear.
We just played a little bit of VR last night until about, I don't know, 8 hours ago, and I was covered in sweat. Like,
yeah.
and that's, I imagine, in a house with AC, right? Like,
even so,
yeah. It's, we're still gathering data and we're watching it. We're trying to be careful about how we plan out long term. So again, like, we're quite lucky that the German government offers federal funding for game development.
That's awesome.
The last 2 years, and we're applying for funding for our next game, which will cover some of our costs, and it greatly reduces our risk. So if Sweet Surrender stays steady and that comes in, then we're in good shape. If Sweet Surrender crashes, then we have to reevaluate. But right now, it's like, it's not, it's not runaway success, but for us, it's our best-selling game so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
And if you're listening or watching, like, and you haven't played this, you have to play it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not just saying, like, with the way you have the upgrades on the chips, and you can literally customize the game like how you want to play it, even though it's a roguelike and it has those constraints, which are great. But you can map yourself out with like damage or healing, like anything you can think of. You guys have kind of covered in those. You have 2 chips on each wrist, and you can change your gameplay and game style on the fly. It's really neat.
Yeah.
And then if you're watching the video, you have the zip line gun, and you can just zip across the room and shoot people while you're on the fly. Like, it's so crazy.
That if there's not a PvP mode or anything, right?
No. I don't want to say not yet. I'm just saying no.
Yeah. I mean, when I see grappling hook guns, when I play like PvP games, I'm the guy dying like 10 times trying to do that one cool thing. But when I nail it, it's going to be me like zipping across the room and getting a headshot on you, like that one time. And then I'm going to be like, I want to buy 10 more copies of this game because that was so fun. But my ratio goes down. But that grappling hook gun looks so fun.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of PvP, or like, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but we're really interested in multiplayer and VR. That's where I want. Yeah, that's where I want the company to go. And let's say, without revealing too much, our next game will definitely have some form of multiplayer, and we're we're trying not to throw away everything we've built with Surrender. Like we want to keep building on our code base. So we're prototyping multiplayer stuff, and whether or not we ever bring out Sweet Surrender, like
it's tough.
yeah. How do I say that without promising anything? Basically, we're curious about it, but yeah, we're trying. Yeah, we'd love to have multiplayer. We wanted to have co-op in it. It just would have been like a game of an order of magnitude bigger, I would say, in terms of complexity.
If you make it work, you make it work. If not, next game.
But we did talk about your other games, Late for Work and GrowRilla, last time you were on, and you know, those are like, one of them was asymmetrical, so like, and I think we did talk about adding multiplayer to this back then. Like you said, you're interested, you want to do it. That was, I think, your first game was the asymmetrical Late for Work, correct?
That's correct, but it was all local.
Yep.
Yeah. Which it's just doing it local was it's a whole set of challenges. Just dealing with somebody connecting a gamepad and then dropping out, or things like that is quite tricky. But what I care about in a game, especially with multiplayer, is it has to just work perfectly. Like you should be able to join a game, a friend's session, leave at any time, and the game doesn't crash, doesn't hang, doesn't do any weird states. It's just it should be jump in, jump out.
Wookie can attest to that. We were playing Elven Assassin last night, not to bring up another title but I don't know, his Wi-Fi was cutting out, so he dropped once or twice, and in that game, if you drop, you lose all your score, so you don't get any progress. And you come back, you can rejoin, but no progress, and that's frustrating as hell.
Definitely, yeah. I think you guys ever played Left 4 Dead? Back in the day, like
he did that for me.
And that's for me is a game that does like multiplayer really well. At least that, like, you can go idle and you automatically turn into a bot after 30 seconds, but then you can come back and take over the character. And I mean, you don't unlock your characters or do you don't have really progression outside of the game, but you're still there with your people, with your group. That's a game I think that does co-op multiplayer really nicely with all the little call outs and
well, everyone's got that one friend that doesn't talk at all. So it's nice. The game kind of does it for them, and like you said, like life happens. If you got to put your controller down, the bot kicks in. It was a almost perfect system.
And we've been testing out Borderlands 3 recently, which is a super ambitious game and quite complex, and it works. It's I don't know. There's I don't want to sound arrogant, but there's just things we would approach a little bit differently if we were to do that. I just mentioned Borderlands because people have compared our game to Borderlands in the past, even though, again, Borderlands is like AAA, large team, and all this. But I played a ton of Borderlands 2, and I remember that being a really fun co-op experience. So it's tricky putting that together.
Yeah, that's why it's nice to hear the dev side, because as a gamer, and you hear other gamers like give it 5-10 minutes, like, oh, this is crap, moving on, and blah blah blah. It's like you don't understand what it takes.
And to keep a server up as well, or to deal with a surge of new players, like Zenith had to, and like it's complex as soon as you add multiplayer.
So back to you guys released the roadmap, like I said, beginning of the year. So, and you've been pretty, like, you guys do a really good job hitting your marks you set out there.
Thank you.
How many more marks do you have for this current year, do you think?
Well, our next update was supposed to be the sewers, and we're thinking whether or not we want to do an update before that, because we have tons of bug fixes and polish that, like the sewer is this whole complex thing, and so we might squeeze another update before that. I would say we probably have 3 or 4 more updates this year. Like our goal is to do like a small update and a chunky update, a small update and a chunky update. I don't know what we're gonna manage until the end of the year, but I hope we can get some more another class in, maybe some LA stuff. But the sewers is going to be an interesting update. That's going to be our biggest update. The one that changes the most content, and we're quite curious what feedback is going to come from that. I assume we're going to have to do a patch after that to balance some things. Yeah, so maybe 4 more this year, and we've done 2.
Yeah,
but that would be a nice pace. And I hope into 2023 we'll keep updating the game.
I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's like 1 every 2 months. Plus, like you said, you've had smaller ones, and if you look back in your release notes, like, and you pretty much had it. Like some even had like 3 little updates before the big one. So
yeah. The update we did in March. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's pretty nuts. And anytime I jump in the game, like I notice a couple new things, and like it's just, you guys are like the hardest working team I think I've seen.
Oh, really appreciate that. There's just so many things we want to add to the game that we couldn't get into the launch, and we just I think it's like a win-win thing for us to stay relevant, or for us to get noticed. Like when we release an update, our sales increase basically.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense to do it. I don't know what would happen to the game if we just stop right now and pause for a year. I'm sure we keep selling copies, but I don't know how the market treats you. I'm kind of
you probably, like you said, with the updates, you get new eyes, and maybe the storefronts bump you up and show you off a little bit. But if you're not doing anything, I just think you kind of sink to the bottom and lose relevance.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's so much great content. I know people are always complaining VR needs new content or whatever, but there's so many games coming out all the time. And it's, on the Quest especially, you're competing with a lot of like highly rated games. I mean, I think there's some games that just stay at the top. Like Super Hot is not getting any updates anymore, but it's still, a really great experience. So I understand that. It's just, yeah, I think as a smaller indie, it helps to stand out. Doing regular updates helps us stand out.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so you guys have a Quest version and a PCVR version, both on Oculus and Steam. And
yeah,
with the art style, it looks great on both, but it is, even on the Quest, like it is just smooth. Like you guys did such a great job with optimization. Like I barely notice a difference between the 2 versions. I mean, like you see the extra coat of paint and stuff, but like mechanic wise and smoothness, like it's pretty damn close. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the Quest was our lead platform, and it's our biggest market. So we always designed it for that, and we always made sure the performance was good throughout, so that it wouldn't be a nightmare at the end of development to try to like optimize everything.
Yeah, it's smart.
We still have it on our roadmap to add more advanced features, high-end effects for PCs. Like the game on PC is basically, if your headset can handle 120 hertz, then it'll run at that. I think where the game, how do I say this? The game looks best on headsets with the highest resolution, because like the higher the resolution, the sharper our outlines are. So like if you have a high-end PC headset, then it tends to look nicer there. But in general, we're quite happy with how it looks on the Quest, and and the choices we made with the outline effects and all that.
Yeah. Once you enter a room with 10 robots in it, you don't notice because all hell breaks loose and you're just running for your life.
Yeah,
It's fun.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to release any information, but I am curious to see what you guys come up with for new enemies because with the current, like the enemies that are already in the game, like there's so much difference that it has great mechanics and how you take each of them out and your options. Like you mentioned adding like a stealth class, but you can kind of go stealth right now a little bit, so it's you can actually like mix it up. Like I said, even without all the other enhancements you can put on your wrists and stuff, just normal straight up gameplay, you can kind of make your own fun too.
Yeah. I mean, you can sneak around and get most of the bots from behind. But yeah, we'd love to add some extra tools so that you can really try to go for a silent assassin mode and get rewarded or recognized for it.
Yeah.
Recognizing for it is the biggest issue because like back in the day playing like tenchu stealth games stuff like that, if you didn't kill people, I think you got points for that because you evaded them instead of just killing everybody. So that's always fun, but you never get rewarded for it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's nice when you're like, oh, is the game going to notice this? And then the game actually does notice it, and it's like, yeah, kudos, you did that. We would like to add more of that.
Because it's like if you can make it spooky enough, like PJ said, he died in a silly way or something. It's funny, but it's like, oh, God. But if there's 3 robots walking by and you're hiding, there's just as much more suspense and excitement, I think, when you're like, they could just turn around at any moment, like, and I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
There's just as much work on your immune system and your nerves.
No.
Yeah, it'd be nice at the end to have like 4 close encounters avoided.
Yeah, time spent close to unaware enemies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I was going to bring that up next, the weekly challenge mode, but I think that would lend itself to that pretty well and, really kind of not force that, but, give everyone the option to at least try it seriously and when it's the weekly challenge type of thing.
Yeah. There's a whole class of improvements we want to make the game that we haven't touched yet, and those sort of challenges, weekly challenge or later custom mutators where you can set up something and then send your friend a challenge. Can you get through this seed without alerting anybody? I think that's like a huge thing we could tap into that we haven't yet, and that we want to work on. And I think it also helps keep the game alive. And if you've got interesting challenges coming up on a weekly basis or a monthly basis.
And did I misspeak? Is it currently a daily challenge or is it a weekly challenge? I think it's a daily
challenge currently.
That's
right. Yeah. Oh, but there should be a weekly challenge. There should be a yearly challenge. You can only do it once a year.
We need save points for that one.
We are working on saves.
Sweet.
That should be in one of the next 2 updates. That's been requested a lot. Like just save and quit basically, and then you can just continue from the level you stop. Because sometimes you got to put down your headset after 20 minutes because life, right?
It's
a bit frustrating. Yeah. So that's on our roadmap. That's it's not done, but my colleague's been working on it the past 2 weeks. It's mostly working, and we just got to fix the edges.
Nice.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention something else. Something we had in development that we cut out shortly before release because we didn't flesh it out enough. Is basically we had random events happening on some levels. Like you would start a level and there'd be and it's infected with spiders, so you'd have spiders everywhere, or is the radioactive level and you had to get out in under 30 seconds. And we had the whole system in place, but we didn't have enough cool events instead of just frustrating ones. But that's something we would love to explore again because it adds a twist. Like one of my favorite games is Spelunky, and they have this dark level mode where you enter a level and it's just dark. You got to carry a torch now through the whole level, and that makes a normal level feel super scary and adds a different type of feel to the game. But that's the thing. We have a lot of systems in the game that we haven't really made use of yet, and I hope like next 6 months, next 12 months, we start digging into that a bit more.
That would be an epic addition to your game if you just kind of had like randomly the lights kind of dimmed and went out, and you had a little like headlight that popped on, and that's it. That would be so awesome.
Yeah. We even had tests where you played it. It's like everything was black, and the only thing you could see is the outlines of the objects and the enemies. And it's not fully dark mode, basically. You don't have a spotlight, but it felt different, and it still looked cool. Everything was still recognizable. That's. I'm gonna go back to work on Monday and annoy my colleagues. Like, oh, we gotta try this and this and this.
Like, you can't go talk to those guys anymore. Like,
yeah.
I forget, is it Berserk mode or something else? But when the screen goes red and like the music really freaking pumps up, like that is fun as hell. Is that like rage mode?
Rage mode, that's right. Yeah. It's one of the first ones we had in, and the music is awesome. That also gets my heart pumping. Like, but yeah, that's something we had early on, and I think there's tons more cool ideas like that we could try out. Just really mess with the visuals or to emphasize a certain state that you're in. You were asking me about new enemies. The new area is going to introduce some new enemies.
Sweet.
Yeah. I guess it's not really spoiling anything, but we wanted to share a GIF on our Discord. One of our programmers has gotten the spiders to walk on the ceilings now.
Oh shit!
So he managed to get a nav mesh working, and that adds another dimension because right now they just drop on you, but now they can actually like hunt you and then drop and ambush you. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And my colleague, knowing me, when he introduced it in the team call, he's like, and before anybody asks, no, they can't walk down the side walls yet. That's not supported.
He said yet.
Yet. Well, I actually didn't say yet. I in my head, I heard yet.
You just dropped it in there without telling anybody, and you do like daily playthroughs. Spiders just started like crawling out of everywhere.
Yeah.
I would run.
It's scary. I still get caught by spiders dropping on me. I mean, you hear them, but still. One day we'll do this. I hope. I want spiders leaping at you.
Yeah.
That'd be even scarier. But that's tricky currently. So that's also an area we want to work on. Or we're planning to work on in the next few months is to do a big pass on the enemy behaviors. They work decently, but there are a bunch of scenarios where they sort of act dumb, let's say. And I think we want to address those issues, but also add some variations, some. That they don't always have the same approach, or they have several different ways of attacking you. So I think this scenario we haven't focused on because there's been other things that are a higher priority, but it is an area we want to keep improving and make better.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love randomness on everything possible is great. For those spiders though, since there's a zip cable, like I think it'd be cool if the spider could like zip to you, like you'd see the grapple hook stick into you, and you could like cut it or something before it gets to you. But
Oh man, yeah.
Stop it.
Or they can shoot the web, and you get
Yeah.
stuck, and then they come and jump on your face.
You could give them a little mouth.
Oh man,
Just kidding.
that would be so disturbing if you are.
Yeah. With spiders, especially, do you get any people saying, I'm irrationally afraid of spiders, so I can't play your game or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's, I always hate those stories, like Skyrim and every other game's got the giant spiders. Some people are just like, nope.
Yeah, and it's dark, and you got thousands of eyes, and it just creep out. I think our spiders are just they blow up right now, which is okay. But yeah, I also don't enjoy spiders.
Well, maybe you can answer this. I was going to ask my friend from another thing. He's afraid of spiders, so any VR game like that has spider, it's a hard pass. Some games will like have an option to change spiders into something else, which is neat. But I'm just curious if, from that perspective, with your graphics, everything's pretty bright. I mean, there's some darker spots, but not really. And the fact that they're robotic, like, does that change anything for those scenarios? I don't know. I'm just curious, but
I mean, we just call them spiders, but they're robots, right?
yeah, but they kind of look like spiders.
And they're four-legged, so we just badly named them. They're just movable mines. Let's call it that way. That can
the
climb on
crawlers.
ceiling and
yeah, you're right, PJ. How close is that to pinging someone's actual spider experience? I just remember back in the day when I was on Skyrim, ages ago.
Yeah.
Like the number one downloaded mod was swapping all the spiders to some other kind of creature.
Okay.
Like, you wouldn't even think that would be the number one mod, let alone a mod, if you don't have that problem. But it was just everybody had that one.
Interesting. Oh, and what did they replace? Do you remember what they replaced the spiders
I'd have
with?
to go look. It was some other similar creepy crawler to not lose the atmosphere, but spiders had to go, I guess. So it was another form of thing.
I'm trying to remember what game it was. The last one I saw this option, it turned the realistic, spooky, scary ass spiders to like a really very cartoony, like something no one could be afraid of type thing. But I've seen other games totally swap them out for just like a smaller enemy type thing. So yeah, it's interesting.
Maybe we can swap them out for like a claptrap type of robot.
Yeah.
Do the little truck droid from Star Wars and just have it drive on the ceiling and stuff.
Little mouse.
Yeah.
Well, people don't like mice either, though.
Well, that doesn't look like a mouse.
Yeah. I guess no tails and only 4 legs tops. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just wheels.
Yeah.
Just wheel, yeah. Like unicycle.
Be funny, in order to like come up with something other than a spider, somebody's making a game and they make like accidentally the most terrifying monster you'd ever see.
Yeah.
Like an orb with suction cups on it with like eyeballs. Like, no, that's worse.
I'm curious, you guys, and do you play like VR horror games or any like something like Resident Evil or like?
So I've said on the podcast many times, like, movies have never scared me. Flat horror games don't bother me. Like, nothing has ever like frightened me game wise or movie wise. But VR, I cannot. Like, I am such a baby. Like I think I just told this not too long ago. But we had Jeff Bull Jr. on, and his game Don't Upset Bobby. Like, I couldn't even get through the menu because he's very good with spatial audio, and it was just that was creepy enough. I'm like, I'm out. Like, screw this. But I have bought Saints and Sinners, and I've heard it's not that bad, so I'm gonna give her a try. But so far, like, I haven't been able to do anything.
Saints and Sinners is just it's fantastic. I don't like horror at all. Movies, black games, whatever. I I bought Resident Evil many years ago on the GameCube. On the GameCube, Resident Evil 4, and I played it for 10 minutes on a sunny afternoon, and just like walking into the town. And as soon as I got attacked by one of the zombies or possessed villagers or whatever, I was just like, nope, that's not for me.
I am currently stuck on now I'm gonna forget the name of the game. The one of the main zombie games is 2-player mode. Crap. Anyway, I was proud of myself. I got yeah. Thank you. I'm currently stuck on, I think it's the third or fourth area. I'm proud of myself. I got that far by myself because no one will ever play co-op with me. But I'm down in this mine, and I've gotten through most of it, which I'm very proud of myself. I did scream a couple times. But I'm like in the middle where like all the lights go out, and I have a flashlight, like I was mentioning, and I haven't been able to go back and finish it. I need a buddy.
This just reminds me of Doom 3, I think, with the flashlight, and yeah, I can't play those games basically. It's just not enjoyable. For me. I understand that others enjoy this. It's just
yeah.
So we can't really have that in our game either because
yeah, you can't make it.
No. And so the spiders are at the edge of the comfort mode, and they don't do any creepy sounds. But when they start crawling towards you, it is panic mode for me. Yeah. Mostly because I know they're going to blow me up. But
well, it just reminds me of Phantasy Star Online back in the day. We used to play that, and my girlfriend would like. There's this mines level that's kind of like similar kind of your aesthetic, but it's just metal everywhere. And there's these S-beats, these sinew beats or whatever, these giant monsters with like Wolverine blades on their arm, and they just drop off the ceiling at you like your spider bots. And she still has nightmares about those.
Oh dear.
And they're not scary at all. Like they're just like intimidating, because when they drop down, they like kind of turn at you robotically and just come at you. And they took a while to kill, and there was some stuff. But it's like when you see one of those drop in the middle of everything else, it's like, oh crap, what do you focus on? And she just has anxiety about that.
Yeah. It must be a content thing, because like back in Halo, like there's even the first one, like there was the flood and stuff that didn't bother me. And then you run around in the dark with a flashlight type of scenario, which I thought I saw was cool in Halo, but. And zombie games, apparently I'm a pansy about it. But like if it was your game with robots, it would. I mean, I might get a jump scare, like something surprises me, but I would not be like cautiously afraid like I am with anything else.
Yeah.
Like I've had many people say, hey, you want to try this alpha and beta and check out this? Like it's been some of the bigger horror titles. I'm like, sorry, I can't. Unless you want me to make a video where I'm losing my shit on the floor and not playing the game, I can't help you. Like,
yeah. A lot of people seem to enjoy that. I don't know. I don't get it. But there's a lot of horror games.
I don't get it either. And a lot of like RPG games where I'm wandering around, like I'm sticking to the prettier levels because I'm like, I want to see the cool background and kill all the guys. And then always you have to get to like, sometimes deserts are still okay, but you just got to get to like the more like worse looking places and the desolation-ish places. And I'm always just like, I don't want to walk around there. I want to go back to the forest.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know how people are going to interpret this, but like the first time I played Minecraft, like when it got to night mode, I was like, no, this is not for me. This creepy sounds. No, I'm done. How can you let children play this?
So you haven't played that in VR, I assume?
Oh God, no. No.
Because night, when it turns night in VR, and in that, like it is like I'm a little more uneasy, just looking around corners more. But like Minecraft's a good example. When I first played it the very first time, I was like digging down into the earth, blah blah blah, and first time you hear that boomer sound and it comes up and blows the shit out of everything, like that scared the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I don't know how I fare with like horror games too much, but like we played Ark, Survival Evolved, like in 2016. And one of the best times we had, like you're out in the middle of forests and stuff, and there's dinosaurs everywhere, and it turns night, like you can't see. Remember, we had like a little caravan. We huddled around a campfire, and we just like back to the fire, and we just sat there for a while because you could hear stuff in the trees, and it was like spooky intense, but it wasn't like I can't handle this. It was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But then some games somehow they find a knob to turn up to 11, and it's just like, nope, lose my shit. You can have it.
And maybe it's a little different if you're with people or with friends than if you're on your own. Like, it's also all these little audio cues. It can really make an experience creepy just from little rustling here and a little there.
Yep. And then footsteps tearing ass in a random direction. You're like, the hell was that? Is that coming at me? I can't tell. But that's just not the type of game I enjoy. Like I don't enjoy jump scares and things like that, and I don't want them in my game.
VR is still. It's growing, but it's still kind of the niche. So you got to think of that when you're creating things, and you still got to keep accessibility open, and you can't wall off certain people with those things. So
yeah. That Skyrim modding out the spiders turned that kind of like made me aware of that, and it's like how much of that kind of stuff it is like accessibility. Like how do you make that game? I guess some people just won't play those games with the spiders or with the jump scares. It's fun. You got me who if the area doesn't look cool anymore, it's like, well, you tried to make it real scary and creepy, like a volcano or something. I'm like, I don't like it. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go back a level.
So, being a VR dev, do you get to play many other VR games, or are you kind of done after work with VR? Like, I don't want to put ads on.
Yeah, me personally, I'm quite limited with my time these days. I got 3 kids at home, and work's a little bit stressful. So I don't. It goes in waves. Let's say, like, I definitely like to try new VR games and get a feel for them. And then at different times in development, we definitely spend more time playing other games just to get ideas, to see what are the best practices, what are people doing right, what are they doing wrong. Like,
it's nice to see other UIs and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sure.
I watch, especially UI. I watch a lot of videos. If I can't get a chance to try a game, then I just go and look at other people's impressions and then decide if I want to try it out. There's a few games I keep coming back to. And one of the big ones, like Until You Fall and Pistol Whip, and I play a lot of Walkabout Mini Golf. Actually, that's such a cool. It's such a cool idea and so well executed. It's a nice way to hang out with friends and catch up and do something social and in a relaxed environment. I quite enjoy that. But if it's on the Quest, then I'm more likely to try it than if it's on PC. That's the other thing. Just because the friction is so much lower. All right, it's on the headset. I can pre-download it and everything, and then I can just put it on. My home PC setup is just a mess. I can play PC VR games at work, but at home, I haven't made the investments. Let's say.
Yeah, video cards are still probably crazy expensive. I hope mine doesn't die anytime soon.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, everything's expensive now.
Yeah, true.
But not Sweet Surrender. Sweet Surrender is only $24.99.
That's right.
Worth every penny.
That's right. Although we do get complaints on Steam that it's too expensive. It's,
Too
I mean,
expensive.
yeah, I mean, it's very interesting the Steam community versus the Quest community and their expectations and
Yeah.
like I don't know. I don't know. I'm still struggling to fully understand it because we definitely get mixed feedback. We get a lot of positive feedback, but we get harsher negative feedback on Steam, and that's
I think
it's hard to interpret.
I think the problem there on with Steam is because I'm assuming obviously they're playing on PC, which, and if I was reading through the comments on Upload's last showcase this week, and it's just like you see all these people like, all this looks like crap. Every game was terrible. I want PCVR. Where are my games? Blah blah. Like just, and I'm a PCVR enthusiast over mobile, but I enjoy both. Like you can have fun with. There's so much fun to be had on both.
Sure.
There's just this class of people that are like, if it's not PCVR, it's junk, and it's like that's bullshit.
Yeah,
Because like I said, your game runs amazingly on both. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and we got a few knocks for not releasing the game as early access and on PC.
Good for not releasing it as early access?
Yeah, because the game is not finished in people's eyes. Like this recent review was like, oh, they're still updating the game, which means the game's not finished. It was just like, I actually replied, I'm like, which aspect of the game you feel unfinished? Because we think the core experience is pretty good. But no reply.
I mean, updates are updates. It's not, you're not still building the game. It's like, we've only got one gun and shooting doesn't work yet, but here you go. Like,
yeah, I mean, the game works. Like, to be fair, when we released in that first week, we had a few game-breaking bugs that we really wish we had managed to catch before release. But we addressed those quite quickly, and beyond that, like we fixed other bugs, and there are still some occasional annoying bugs. That's fine, but we are pretty active at trying to address these things and adding new content. We're not like, I don't know. And we had an internal discussion whether or not we should label the game as early access for Steam, and in the end, we decided not to because we were releasing on Quest as well, and there's no early access label, and we didn't want to have that distinction. But in hindsight, I think slapping the early access label on Steam would have saved us a lot of grief, and I think would not have affected sales much. But I could be completely wrong about that. So
I don't know. I'm starting to just resent the whole early access thing. I've been burned so many times. They just abandon it. And I'm like, well, okay, so I just wait for games to release now, unless it's already you can tell it's pretty much done. But I don't want to play myself out of the experience and then have them release full game with like a better experience and just
it's tricky. Different games use a label differently. Like H3VR again, they've been in early access for half a decade, but but they say the game's not done, but it's like 5 games already in that game. It's extremely polished and. But I
think it just. I say early access just seems to be like an umbrella to not actually have to take responsibility for anything. Like when you launch a game, there's it's a game and you have to upkeep and stuff like that. If you have it early access, you can put in you shouldn't be able to put in like a cash shop at all. But games will go early access. And then you'll just be giving them more and more and more and more money. But are they going to finish it? It's weird.
Yeah. So you got to contend with that point of view as well. Like, well, your game's not done, so why should I invest in it? Which is fair, I don't know. We're not sure how to approach Steam. Like, it's not like our sales. To be super clear, Quest is our main market. Like, that's where most of our revenue comes from. Steam brings in money, and I'm still glad we released on Steam. Like, We've always released our games on Steam, and we will keep doing it. But it's harder to manage people's expectations, I guess. I don't know. It bothers me personally, but I don't know how much energy I should spend on it because
Yeah,
I think the safest route is just say developed for Quest, released, and releasing on Steam. But that stuff makes me mad because I personally love companies like you have on the Oculus platform cross-buy, so I can play it on either one, only buy it once. That stuff is important to me because, like I said, I'd rather play everything on PC myself, but I also have those days like I want to show off the games to other people on my Quest, or I want to go outside and play, wirelessly, blah blah blah. Like I just love the whole gambit of it, and people like that with those kind of comments, are very possibly like we're devs down to we're like, all right, we'll just stick on Quest and we won't do PC, and then I get mad about that. Like it's such a weird scenario.
Yeah. On Steam we have there's one guy who left us a really detailed negative review right at launch, and like the guy's a power player, and the review is fair in some ways. Like he's harsh. He's like, oh, everybody was complaining our game was too hard, and this guy was like, oh, this game is too easy once you figure out the mechanics, whatever. And it's like, all right, it was a massive review. It's our top rated review, and didn't know how to engage with it. And eventually they're just like, all right, well, I'll just engage with it. I'll just say, okay, appreciate the feedback. We're still working on, we're going to improve these things. And it's now got quite a long thread going. And it's interesting. Like we have had comments afterwards, like saying, well, I appreciate the devs actually engaging in this and with their response. So we're using it as a way to further advertise the game or show off or demonstrate that we care, and we'll keep addressing issues as we notice them. Trying to turn something into a silver lining, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, using a negative, turning it into a positive is a pretty good thing to build communities with, I would think. Like, you're not afraid to, address that comment, and
Yeah. Didn't manage to flip the guy to a positive review though. We sent him. We sent him a key in April, like, hey, you want to try again, but didn't hear back. It's didn't convince him. It is what it is, and my colleagues tell me not to obsess over individual reviews, and they're right.
I would agree. And then because you also get like content creators or like power players, like, and I've kind of do this a little bit myself too, just to keep up for the podcast. But like, they want a brand new game, they want it before anyone else. They burn through it. They don't really care. They're just, I'm making a video and then I'm done. I'll never play that game again type of scenario. So you have to take all that stuff with a grain of salt. It's like, because I've had moments where I feel bad, like, oh, this game is really fun. I put my time in, but obviously everyone only has so many hours in a day. And if I have like 10 games that I really like and I'm in the middle of, like, I can't add another one. I'll play it for an hour to do the podcast, but I can't add anything more until I finish one type of scenario.
Of course, and there's so much content now. Like and not just in games, but across media, right? Like TV shows and movies, and it's impossible to consume all the good content or give it enough time. You gotta, and that's fine, right?
That's why I play your game. I come back to it at least once a month. It's probably more than that, but it's at least that. And I'm always like just so happy to get back in there every time. And I'm like, oh, look what they did here. Like,
that's cool.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. No, it's cool. All in all, we're pretty happy. And
good.
Really can't complain. And,
well, we're at our hour. Is there anything you wanted to get to that we didn't get to before we call it a day here? Or?
No, I covered our upcoming updates. put a little teaser for future plans. No, it's just thank you again for having us on. It's really cool. Enjoy these chilled chats.
Yeah. And when you have stuff you can spill about your next project that you want to talk about, come back.
Yeah, maybe
fun.
we can try out a prototype together at some point in the future.
That'd be
always
awesome.
down for that. Yeah.
It would be fun. Yeah, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, just your guys' approach and your viewpoints and everything. Like, I totally agree with. I'm glad to hear you say these things because it just makes me, there's a little level of trust there with as future games and where the game's going and stuff like that. I think you guys have made the right choices with everything we've talked about, and it's just I'm glad everything's going well. And then you guys can keep continuing to add and do new things because, like I said, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, but like it's one of my favorite games. Just jump in when I have a half hour. I can hop in there and get some stuff done and enjoy it and get back out. And
yeah, well, thanks a lot. Like it's great to hear that, and we're glad that that's appreciated as well because we want to keep working this way. It's sort of transparent and customer facing, let's say, and just putting a bit more polish and care into our games. It's like the same that we want to see in other games, I guess. Not throwing shade on any of the games, just yeah. I like when developers care about the games and keep improving them.
It shows.
Yeah, cool.
Well, thanks again for joining us. We hope to see you again. It's always great to catch back up.
Thank you, PJ, Wilkie. Appreciate it.
Hope you're getting enough sleep, enough coffee.
Yeah. Are you going back to bed?
No.
Well, it's funny because I was gonna at the start I was gonna mention I'm like sorry if you randomly hear loud noises because we got a younger cat. We've had him for 3 months or so now, but we went to bed late last night because we were playing Elven Assassin. Then I sent you that link for this.
Yeah.
It was like 4 hours later. I only got like 4 hours of sleep last night because of this damn cat just attacking my older cat, making so much noise. So I was waiting for them to bust in here during the podcast and tear shit up and make noise. I was ready with the mute button the whole time. But yeah, there's no more sleep today for me.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I'm looking to getting some sleep tonight. I've got a little one who's a challenge at night. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks. It's always great to talk to you.
As well.
Stay safe, stay healthy, come back soon.
Yeah, you too. And thanks again for having me.
Anytime.
Bam.
Sorry, fist bump.
Pill bump.
Yeah. It's just a question. I don't want to be rude and peek over on your side, but do you have like a private dashboard there, or is just
well
visual?
It wasn't updated for this episode. Like we were running short on time, so it's just some notes. I'm terrible with names, so like people's names, their companies, sometimes games. Obviously, like I just can't remember. You can come like you have to look really close. It's really tiny.
I'm just curious. That's awesome.
It just has personal notes like don't mention this to this guy because he'll freak out. No, I'm just kidding.
Spider.
Yeah. Mention
press the button to drop a spider over him.
Oh man, really wouldn't that
suck? This whole thing.
You mentioned jump scares. How do you like this?
Yeah, the center console just transforms into a spider.
You get like I could buy personal data on everybody from Facebook or something. Find out your worst fears and put it in the booth.
Jeez.
That would be terrible.
And it's only visible in my view, and you're like, "What's wrong?"
He just starts going.
Spiders.
Awesome.
I'm gonna end it all.
Yeah. Oh, could you imagine? There's spiders climbing up over the edge.
Oh, just big legs. You
Yeah,
just need spider's legs.
Cool.
That's
All right. I don't know how to log out. Just
close the app. Sorry.
Yeah.
You just jump off the platform. It'll log you out.
Yeah.
And remember, crab legs are just sea spiders. So
Yeah.
we ate some seafood.
hmm
Gross.
With claws. Yeah. So you don't like crabs either?
I don't eat seafood at all.
No. Okay.
That's just silly.
Bottom feeders, you are what you eat.
That's so.
They got salmon,
Yeah.
tuna steaks. Come on.
All right, guys. I'm gonna go.
See ya.
Take it easy.
Well, that was Yacine from Salmi Games talking about his game Sweet Surrender. Honestly, if you haven't played this game, it's one of my favorites. It's a blast. You can jump in, jump out, always make some progress. There's a daily run. If you just jump in and do the daily run, it's fun. They've added a lot. They're hard at work on more stuff. The graphics are great. The weapons, like the customization alone, is pretty impressive. But just make your own fun, however you want to play.
Yeah, I think they got a probably good sense of humor about them too. So you kind of see that in some of the work.
Yeah. It's on Quest, on PCVR. They have cross-buy on the Oculus store front. Yeah. Next up, big updates in July, so check it out.
Check it.
Again, we didn't do this at the beginning. It's hard to with a guest here, but we record the show live in VR and then release the audio. So we listen to the audio. There is a video version on our YouTube. It's just YouTube/VR Verdict. Check it out. If anyone ever wants to come, yeah, that too. If anyone ever wants to come chat with us, let us know. We're up for chatting to anybody about anything VR related. So
Most of the time.
most of the time. True. But thanks everyone for hanging out and listening.
Oh, I wasn't doing money ears.
Oh. Thought you were flashing gang signs at the camera again.
Oh.
All right. See ya.
Adios, guys.